Mr. Gupta, Mr. Kar, eminent Swamis, learned scholars, Hirasan, members of the Bengali and the larger Indian and Japanese communities. Thank you very much for inviting me this morning to attend the Saraswati Puja organized in Tokyo by the Bengali Association of Tokyo, Japan. You have been organizing this puja since 1981. And I think it's not a matter of coincidence that I joined the Indian Foreign Service also in 1981. So attending today's puja, to my mind, will bring me much spiritual solace and perhaps some good luck as well. It's very important in this day and age when we are all so busy with our lives, with the whole business of doing our dharma and karma, which also includes putting food on the table, educating children, working. It's also important to take time off to delve deep into ourselves, to get to know ourselves, our innermost mind, our desires, our wishes, and to see how best this can be accommodated or governed by meditation, discipline, in order that what comes out at the end of the day, whether in the form of words, action or behavior on our part, is of one with the larger good, with the good of society, and in harmony with both other human beings, other sentient forms of life and nature. And I think at the end of the day, all puja, all religious practice of this sort is intended to give us that peace of mind and to enable us to draw on our inner power, inner energy to work for the larger good. When I was growing up, I learnt one shloka. And it said, Nityam charami khelami pratah surya namami cha Nityam pibami khadami shlokan mantran padhami cha. What it meant, and this is essentially for any children that are here, because I learned this when I was a child, is that every day we walk, we play, we do many things. And every morning we bow to the rising sun. And every day we eat and sleep and drink. But we must also study our shlokas and mantras. And we must not forget our heritage. So I think it is extraordinary that the Bengali Association of Tokyo, so far away from home, from Bengal, is organizing such a function to enable not only the community, not only the adults, but especially the children to connect with the essence of their culture, to help them pick up that thread even in Japan. It is very important to do Saraswati Puja, and it's something that we share with Japan. Saraswati, as you know, the word comes from Sara, which is essence, Swa, which is self, and Vati, which is possessor. So Saraswati is one who possesses the essence of self-knowledge. And Saraswati, in the broader sense, is also the goddess of learning, music, scholarly pursuits, speech, and so on, of all knowledge. And it's very important to have knowledge, to have learning, to be well versed in literature, to have interest in music, to pursue some arts and crafts. And as there is a saying in Sanskrit, Sahitya, Sangeet, Kala, Vihin, Sakshat, Pashupuch, Vishanaheen. The one who is not versed in Sahitya, literature, Sangeet, music, Kala, art, one who is without all this is in a way like an animal without horns and tail. It's not a normal person. So it's vital that we encourage, especially the younger children, to pursue knowledge, to pursue literature, to pursue arts, to pursue music, and to blossom into wholesome human beings. The pursuit of knowledge should be a lifelong pursuit. It is not something that can be acquired like instant coffee or instant noodles that you pour hot water and you get it. It's not like that. And the possession of knowledge also makes you humble. The more you acquire knowledge, the more humble and modest it makes a person. It builds character. If you have good character, you can be a positive factor in society's progress. There is a good saying in Sanskrit. Some of you would know it. It's quite commonly recited about the importance of knowledge and learning. Vidya dadhati vinayam, vinayadhyati patratam, patravad dhanamapnoti dhanadharma tatah sukham. So, vidya dadhati vinayam. If you pursue vidya, you acquire vinayam, you are modest, you are humble. Vinayadhyati patratam. That becomes the foundation for building a good patra, a good character. Patravad dhanamapnoti. You have good character, you are likely to be successful, you are likely to earn money, you are likely to have material advancement. And dhana dharma tatah sukham. So if you have wealth, then you can contribute to society for the good of society. So see where it led from knowledge to modesty to better character to success in life and society, and eventually for the betterment of society. Knowledge, I'm reminded of something else again. There is another saying in Sanskrit, and I could be wrong when I recite it, so those of you who know it better may correct me, that Swaghar pujyate pithara, Swagram pujyate prabhu, Swadesh pujyate raja, Vidwan sarvatra pujyate. That is to say that in your home, you pay filial piety and respect your parents. In your village, you will pay homage to the village chieftain. A king is always worshipped in his kingdom, within his kingdom. But a man of letters, of knowledge, of Sahitya, Sangeet and Kala will be respected everywhere. Of course, you can change it a little bit also. Swadesh pujyate Raja, Swagram pujyate Pramukh, Swagra pujyate Murkh, Vidwan Sarvatra pujyate. In your own home, in one's own home, even a fool is respected and worshipped. But a man of letters will be respected everywhere. That is the sense of what I was trying to tell you. I think I have gone on too far and I should stop, because this is not intended to be a sermon of any kind, that too on a Saturday morning. But let me just say that I was so delighted to see that in Japan too, the goddess Saraswati is worshipped, is one of the many gods and goddesses of Japan that originate in India. This rich cultural heritage that we share with Japan, India and Japan. And in Japan, she is known as Benzaiten. She is often seen with a biwa instrument, musical flute. And there are, I am told, many famous temples in Japan where Saraswati is to be found. For that matter, the triumvirate of Saraswati, Lakshmi and Parvati, who provide the balance to Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva, of them many are found in Japan. Shiva, for example, is known as Daikokuten. Ganesh is also to be found known as Shoten, sometimes as Kangiten. Kubera cannot be far away from our activities, is Bishamonten. Vishnu is known as Narayan Kengo, from the word Narayan. Varuna is known as Raijin. Vasu as Basu. By the way, that's also a Bengali name. Vayu as Fujin. Lakshmi as we know her as Sri Devi also, as Dai Ben Kudoku Ten. The point I'm trying to make is that there is so much we share in common between India and Japan. And the Bengalis have always been at the forefront of everything that happened, whether in India or in Japan, whether in education, music, letters, knowledge, arts. Even under the British colonial power, it was the Bengalis who were the first to acquire modern education and to be able to retain their own identity and culture and yet adapt to Western education and adapt themselves to the world in which modern technology was fast changing relationships between countries, changing the whole concept of distance and geography. And it was Bengalis that also came to Japan in those early days. People, I can't say people, stalwarts, Gurudev Tagore, for instance, also visited Japan on multiple occasions and had great regard and respect for Japanese culture. For this country, like India, is also one that has a culture and civilization that goes back thousands of years. Like India, Japan is a country that has adhered to its basic foundations, its cultural moorings. It hasn't lost them. There is a continuous flow, a continuum in Japanese history and culture, like in India. And today we are working together to produce a world, to work to creating a world which is full of peace, security and prosperity for all. We have a shared convergence, whether in economic or strategic terms. and high-level exchanges of the type that have taken place in recent years, Prime Minister Modi's visit to Japan, Prime Minister Abe's visit to India, these augur well for the future of our trade, commercial, economic and strategic ties. Above all, people-to-people ties. So I congratulate you once again, each one of you, for representing India as true ambassadors, for demonstrating your ability to bring our great culture to Japan, being very Indian, being true ambassadors of India, representing our great traditions here while respecting, imbibing, learning about Japanese traditions, learning about Japanese culture, their way of thinking, their language, this whole idea of monozukuri, kaizen, concepts which are of great relevance to us in India. So let us commit ourselves on the occasion of Saraswati Puja to also continue that learning process vis-a-vis Japan, to acquire the knowledge that they have, to acquire the discipline that they have, to acquire their experience, that energy that they have, the focus that they have to constantly improve ourselves, improve our capabilities. The Kaizen must be both mental, spiritual, physical, not just in factories. Thank you very much.